Welcome to Godzilla-THON, Godzilla vs. Megaguirus. In my opinion, a true underrated gem. This film is creative, a new creative way to defeat Godzilla, even a cool alternate history where the capital of Japan has been moved to Osaka. Godzilla's first attack is still canonical, and we see a pretty decently yet crudely done sequence where the Millennium style Godzilla was cropped into scenes with the original movie. After that, they managed to rebuild Tokyo while moving the capital to Osaka. And Godzilla attacks again. It's because of power sources he's after. In the 90s, they experiment with a new plasma energy source. It still attracts Godzilla, and our main character is part of a squad that is tasked with stopping Godzilla. Her commander gets killed, and she vows revenge. I'm going to go ahead and say it. One of the best female protagonists in the series, maybe second to Miki Sagusa, I'm not sure. When we get into this out of the prologue and into the story, we see this guy who's showing something off with kids. He puts a few ingredients on a table, puts a bowl over it, and voila, a spoonful of curry and rice. The girl character comes in, flips the bowl over, and reveals the bowl's a microwave oven, and there's nano machines doing it. And the kids are like, oh, he's a phony. If I was a kid and seen that's what was doing it, my head would have exploded. So she brings him in because he's a brilliant self-taught engineer, and they have a machine that basically generates black holes, and they want to fire it at Godzilla, and they need his help. At first, he's not too interested in when he sees his old professor that she's involved in the task, and I believe this actress was in either Mothra vs. Godzilla or Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, but he more or less joins out of respect for her. And there's some funny scenes between him and the Major. He's kind of got a crush on her, but they don't go too far into it. Like, there's one scene she's working out, and he's like, this bodybuilding's a waste of time if you're just going to make Godzilla disappear. And he gives her this bullet. It's a transmitter. If you're in trouble and fire this, I'll be able to come rescue you. And she shoots it into a weight, and she goes, well, first you'll have to build up your body. And I like the dynamic between these two. She picks on him some, but she's never really putting him down. Well, we see where they're testing the Dimension Tide, and that's the black hole machine, and this kid who's moving to Tokyo witnesses it. And they find him in the Major. She starts talking to the kid, and it's another thing I like about this character. She doesn't talk down to him like a kid. She's like, can you keep this a secret? Not even tell your parents? She talks to him like an equal, and she notices he has a display with bugs, and she even brings that up to the kid, and it's just talks to the kid about that. And it's, again, I like this character so much. She's smart, well-rounded, humble, just a likable person, yet she can be smart and sarcastic when she needs to be. Well, the kid that night finds an egg, or later what we find out is an egg cluster, moves to Tokyo, and he gets nervous, looks for a place to throw the egg out, and he can't find one because it's not garbage day, so he dumps it down the sewer. Later that night, we see little eggs coming out, and they actually hatch into the Mechaneulon, which was from Rodan. And we see a scene where two people on a date get killed, and it's also shown that water's backing up into the streets. Well, the kid sees the dragonfly, so he contacts this movie's equivalent, the G-Force, to G-Grasper, and he tells the Major about it. Earlier, when they met, he asked, why does a woman want to fight Godzilla? And this time, she explains to him it was because of her commanding officer that got killed. And anyway, there's like a radiation spike in the ocean, they find one of the dead dragonfly, the Mechanulla, which is the evolved form of the Mechanullon. Godzilla appears, and a lot of people talk about in this scene, doesn't she realize there's radiation? Her and one of the other guys come out of this ship is called the Griffin, and it's like this would be, if the Heisei series continued, this would be a great successor to the Super X. It's super maneuverable, but they go to take samples of the dead Dragon Ball corpse, and Godzilla shows up. She hooks the cable up to one of the guys under her, and then she pulls the goggles down over her suit, and this thing light rises up over her face. And you begin to realize, in addition to having a radiation badge, this whole flight suit is designed around radiation protection, because they even something that inflates around the neck, that's not for floating, because it's revealed later on the shoulder pads are where the flotation devices come out of. It's a thyroid shield. I'm willing to bet the goggle point is like lead crystal or something. And she actually hitches a ride on Godzilla and shoots the tracker bullet into his spine so they can track him, and hops off. It's an awesome scene, and I just love the scale of having a person on Godzilla. Well, while this is happening, Tokyo is flooding. Godzilla comes up on this island, and the dragonflies all attack him and start draining energy. Godzilla's smacking himself with his tail, hitting them with atomic breath. And they managed to fire the black hole machine, but because of all the dragonflies, they couldn't lock onto them. It just killed the majority of them. We see that there's a supersized cocoon in the water, and this is going to be Megaguirus. The engineer guy's helping out there, and he's got this little submersible remote-controlled camera type thing, and it keeps cutting out at a certain point. Well, Megaguirus hatches, and I gotta say, I love Megaguirus. Godzilla fighting flying monsters can be a little clunky, and this fight is at times, but Megaguirus has so much personality and is such a troll at times. Megaguirus flies off, and just the force of her flying causes damage. The engineer breaks his arm. Well, Godzilla's heading towards Tokyo, so the G-Graspers go to fight them. And this is where you see the maneuverability of the Griffin, as well as its energy cannons, which look surprisingly powerful. Megaguirus shows up, and there's like mechanical problems with the Griffin, so they land it, and the fight between Godzilla and Megaguirus happens. And I like it because Megaguirus is not the most powerful enemy Godzilla ever faced, but she's one of the most crafty and fast. She'll be in front of Godzilla, then come behind him and attack him. She'll be behind Godzilla, and when he turns around, she's still behind him so he can't see her. There's even one point in the fight where she knocks Godzilla down, and it's kind of like the building he hits is kind of like a double building. There's an opening in the middle, and there's this upside down pyramid on the top. And Megaguirus actually smiles before knocking it down on Godzilla. Again, so much personality in this monster. She'll stab him with her stinger and absorb his energy. One point she goes to attack Godzilla with her claws. He ducks down and cuts the one claw off with his spine. And then he does a frog splash on Megaguirus. And again, Megaguirus' personality. Her eyes get real big, her eyebrow raises, and she's like, this is not gonna be fun. It's after this point Godzilla has enough and just starts pounding Megaguirus. He bites her stinger off. And I gotta admit, it's anticlimactic that the fight ends with one well-placed atomic breath. Well, Godzilla proceeds to destroy the Science Institute building, and this one politician character, he reveals to the others that, oh, there's a secret plasma power plant in that building. It's a facade for that. And when he's not looking at them, you can see the camera of the Major's teary-eyed, And he is, and she makes a smart remark, and he turns around and looks. I organize the G-Graspers, don't get smart with me. And she punches him in the face and calls out, you sent lots of innocent people to their deaths. Well, at this point, the engineer's back, and he works on fixing Dimension Tide because it's acting up, and at this point, the satellite's crashing into Earth. So he contacts her, and says they only got a few seconds, so they decide to use the Griffin to lock onto to hit Godzilla. She actually has her old CEO's dog tag, and before ejecting out, she places it on the G-Grasper, symbolizing she's let go of the past. She ejects, and the black hole appears to swallow up Godzilla, and the engineer keeps calling her. And again, I just love how smart alecky their relationship is. She's like, why do you keep calling my name? Do you have a crush on me or something? The next scene, he's back at his shop and she comes. There's been seismic activity. We believe Godzilla may have escaped the black hole. And he's like, I'm done dealing with lizards. I don't want to die. And she calls him a coward, and he makes a big deal about, he just like, oh, I'll do it. And he like nudges her in her elbow, but he has a broken arm, and she nudges him back and hurts his arm. And then she's immediately, I love the look on her face, she didn't even think about it. She's like, oh, sorry, are you okay? And the engineer character, I love too his determination, because when he comes back to help, he has his cast cut off so he can have a free hand, and by the end of the movie, she regards him as a comrade in arms. And there's a post-credit scene, did it before Marvel, that reveals Godzilla didn't sink, get sucked up by the black hole. He survived. This film is kind of looked at as a black sheep in the Millennium series. I don't agree with that at all. It's fun, it's creative. They even wrote an alternate history for Japan for this. I even like the Dimension Tide. It's a very creative way to combat Godzilla. This film is a true gem in my top 15. So that's my thoughts on Godzilla versus Megaguirus. See it. Again, I have the Blu-ray, even though it's in the DVD case. I highly recommend this movie. So, and Godzilla-thon is almost over. Gravity's fighting me today, mind the sound effects. But I'm thinking about doing something just not all at once, but spread about. Gamera Showa Volume 1. Volume 2 of the show. Well, never mind. That was... Let me do this chronologically. That was kind of embarrassing. Volume 1 of the Gamera series, the Showa series. Volume 2. And the Heisei series. I won't do all these at once. They're going to be broken up because there's one good in the Showa one good movie in the Showa series, a couple passable, and the majority of them are bad. And the Heisei series is pretty solid, but I'm not going to do those all in a row. So don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, hit notifications, dislike. Stay tuned as Godzilla-thon draws to a close. Not many films left. Over and out.